What is going on, everyone? JX Rico here, coming at you with a Blu-ray update, a longly anticipated Blu-ray update. I know it's been a while since I've last donned the screen of my DSLR, but yeah, just been dealing with life and collecting, watching movies as time went on. But without further ado, let's just get started and talk about some of the movies that I picked up. So I'll briefly go over these films that I picked up, and if I have anything that I want to say about any of the movies that I picked up, I'll briefly talk about it. But other than that, I'll just go ahead and show off my collection, my pickups. First up, we have Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. The first one, enjoyed it very much when it first came out, and I was surprised I never actually owned this film. And I've had the second one for the longest time, but I've never owned like this one on Blu-ray, just on DVD. Next up, we have a Stallone classic, and it's Lock Up. Just a fun 80s, or just a fun well, technically it's a late 90s film, like '89, I think it was when it was made. But just a Stallone cheese fest. Next up, we have Bruce Willis in Hostage. This is I would say one of my guilty pleasures of Bruce Willis's films. I remember enjoying this very much when it was in theaters, and yeah, glad to have this one in my collection. Next up, another guilty pleasure, Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Michael Shannon in Premium Rush. Just a fun little movie here. Highly recommend it if you just want to kick back, relax, and watch a fun film. So yeah, Premium Rush. Next up, we have Happy Death Day. Just another dark comedy horror film to add to the collection. Happy Death Day. Continuing on, we have Signs, M. Night Shyamalan, Mel Gibson, Leonardo DiCaprio, Shutter Island, a Martin Scorsese film. A childhood favorite of mine. I remember watching this one when I was a little kid. I don't know how many times I watched this film, but it just brings back so many memories, and it's The Adventures of Milo and Otis. I don't know if a lot of people or many people know about this film, but it's just a fun little film with a dog and a cat being best friends and going on adventures and running into other farm animals along the way. Next up, we have Runaway Jury. This one actually holds nostalgic value to me just because I remember watching this film with my whole family. Like literally, it was kind of a rarity to have those moments with your family where you all kind of just sit back, relax, and watch a film together. And that was kind of like with my family, because my sisters were always like busy doing things with their friends. My parents were just they would just kind of kick back and watch TV. But it was kind of like a rarity for all of us to be in one room to watch a film together. And I remember we rented this one from Blockbuster a while back, and it's Runaway Jury. Next up, we have Clint Eastwood in The Line of Fire, Charlie Chaplin, Robert Downey Jr. biopic. Great film. Highly recommend it. Great performance as well. Rundown, just a guilty pleasure of mine. I remember watching this one in theaters. The Rock, Sean William Scott. And they also have Ernie Reyes Jr. Hollow Man, Kevin Bacon, Elizabeth Shue. We have Spy Game, Robert Redford and Brad Pitt. Steven Spielberg animated film, Tintin. Underrated film, Daniel Radcliffe in The Jungle. One of, I would say, Daniel Radcliffe's finest performances. Very surprised about this film. Kind of flew under the radar for most people, but I highly recommend it if you are a fan of thrillers, drama, story about survival. So yeah, Jungle. Shout out for WB for sending this to me to review. I also have the 4K version of this, and it's Lego, the Ninjago movie. Just a fun little film. If you're a fan of any of the Lego films, I highly recommend this one if you are a fan. So yeah, Lego, Ninjago. Next up, we have a foreign film, Prophet, by Sony Picture Classics. We have the unrated version of Beer Fest, Kevin Costner's Robin Hood. Everyone should own this one if you're a Kevin Costner fan. Aside from Waterworld or Field of Dreams, Costner kind of made a slew of films in the 90s, and yeah, this is one of them. So yeah, Robin Hood. We have Catfish. I was kind of on a binge watching MTV's Catfish. Shulman was actually talking about this film that jump-started his series and I was kind of unaware of it. I just kind of picked up watching Catfish a few years back, and I know it's been going on for about 6-7 seasons for a very long time. I just kind of wanted to watch the film that jump-started the series. So yeah, Catfish. Next up, Tom Hardy in one of my favorites, or probably the only favorite series that he's in, is Taboo. I highly recommend this one. Great story, great acting, just a very intense thriller, a drama series, and just fine performances from Tom Hardy overall. So yeah, season 1 of Taboo. Alright, so next up we have a double hitter. And for those who are unaware of this series, a while back, when they first released the Blu-ray, it was going for, I don't know, $75 or so, or even $80. But then before it went out of print, it was going for $40 on Amazon, and I'm kicking myself for not picking it up at the time. But I did manage to buy this one on eBay for a very cheap price for what it's going for now. I believe it's going for upward of over $100 for this entire mystery series, which is out of print, obviously. And it's David Lynch's Twin Peaks, the entire mystery, one of my favorite shows of all time. And moving on to the next Showtime's Twin Peaks A Limited Event series. Now, I wasn't a real big fan of Lynch's adaptation to the sequel to the original series events. I don't know, David Lynch's style is a hit and miss for me. I know it's very unique in flavor, and a lot of people have different opinions on his directing style, but for some reason I just really couldn't get into the second installment of the Twin Peaks series. But don't hate me, I mean, I'm a Lynch fan, but not a hardcore Lynch fan. I was surprised I never owned this one just because it was expensive. When it first dropped, I think it was about $90, but then I got this one for about half the price, or about 65% off, and it's Star Wars The Complete Saga. I know these are the new cuts from George Lucas. A lot of fans complain about it. What can you say? This includes all of the films besides the newer ones that just released. So I'm very happy to own this one. And the other Fox release that came out recently, I wasn't a really big fan of. I like this one a lot better. Continuing on, we have Legend of the Mountain, a Kino Lorber release. This one just released about last week. This is a Chinese film, and I don't know too much about it, but I heard it's visually stunning in all aspects, so happy to check this one out. We have The Purge. This one just released on 4K, but I'm not a real big fan of the film to upgrade to 4K, but well enough to be satisfied with the Blu-ray version. Universal Slip Animal House, The Replacement Killers with Chow Yun-fat, Shallow Hal, funny comedy. The Soloist, Jamie Foxx, and Robert Downey Jr. I heard that Jamie Foxx's performance in this film is very riveting, emotional, and powerful. So, you know, I haven't checked this one out yet, but I'm going to real soon. And it was highly recommended from a lot of the Blue reviewers out there. Next up, we have The Boys from Brazil. This one stars Gregory Peck, Lawrence Oliver, and James Mason. Next up, we have a Michael Caine, Donald Sutherland, and Robert Duvall film, and The Eagle Has Landed. Just look at that artwork. Wow. This one just sold me from just the artwork itself, and just so classic, so colorful. We have a Seagal film, Out for Justice. And then we have The Pistol. I think this one aired on ESPN a long time ago. I remember watching this film on TV, and I was just, you know, it's not the greatest film, but it's a film that the best film we're gonna get about Pistol Pete Maravich and his days growing up. I heard the quality of this film is very kind of, I guess, DVR-ish, like kind of shit transfer, but you know, can't go wrong. I mean, it's a Blu-ray version. The only Blu-ray version out there is The Pistol. Next up, we have the 80s Overdrive 6-movie collection, which includes The Legend of Billie Jean, Little Nikita. Mainly the film that I wanted this collection because Sidney Poitier, Hard Body, Spring Break, Perfect, and Private Resort. We have Suspiria, Dario Argento's classic horror, mystery, dark. Everything about this film is just, in a way, just creepy. And I heard that there's a new one coming out, a remake of this, so can't wait to check that one out as well. Big Bad Wolves, Not too much to say about that film. Great film. 12 Strong with Chris Hemsworth. Highly recommend this one. It's a very dramatic film. A fight in Al-Qaeda, Afghanistan. This is around the time of 9/11. Just a heroic film overall, and kind of just uplifting film too as well. So yeah, 12 Strong. All the Money in the World with Chris Plummer, Mark Wahlberg, and Michelle Williams. Film by Ridley Scott. I actually pleasantly enjoy this film. A lot of people weren't very enthused by this film when it first came out, or after the first screening, of course, but you know, I took it with a grain of salt and I enjoyed it. So All the Money in the World. We have Airport with the Universal 100th anniversary slipcover. Killer Joe with the slip, Matthew McConaughey. Comedy, Step Brothers. We have The Darkest Hour. This one just released on 4K. Our next up, we have Charles Bronson's 4-movie collection. The Valakai Papers. I think I'm probably butchering that name. The Stone Killer, Breakout, and Hard Times. Just looking at the back, a lot of these are PG. The only one that's rated R is The Stone Killer. But honestly, I have not seen any of these films besides Hard Times. I think there is a remake called The Fighter or something with the Channing Tatum. So yeah, Charles Bronson, 4-movie collection from Mill Creek. And I was watching a biography of Bruce Lee shortly after he passed away. There was all these imitators that always kind of remade movies saying that, oh, this is Bruce Lee's brother or Bruce Lee's cousin, blah, blah, blah. And they all imitated him, imitated his style in more of a comedic martial arts way. But there's a slew of films that just kind of came out, all these Bruce Lee imitators, and one notable actor, his name was Bruce Lee. It starred like, I think there was a Bruce Lee with L-I and there's a Bruce Lee with L-E. But this is Bruce's Deadly Fingers. This is released by MVD Visual. I'm not too sure how the new 2K scan is going to be on these. These are from the original 35 millimeters, but yeah, I'm just happy to check this one out. Bruce's Deadly Fingers. Reign of Fire with Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey. The original Final Destination, the only Final Destination you should own. The second one was okay, but I really enjoyed the first one. This one kind of like jump-started the series, obviously, ending with the 5th one. Spoiler alert. It kind of rounds out 1 through 5. We have Heavy Metal. This is an 80s classic. George A. Romero's The Crazies, released by Arrow Video. This is their OG Crazies. Shout Select, Red Dawn. Continuing on with more Swayze, Roadhouse, Shout Select. Missing in Action with Chuck Norris, Shout Select. Flicker Alley released Women on the Run. Just a fun classic film. Pandorum, I remember watching this one in theaters a while back. I think this was with Ben Foster. Yeah, I just remember this one was just very creepy, kind of like a more alienish type of film. And this was very overlooked. Next up, we have Jackie Chan's The Foreigner. Also stars Pierce Brosnan. A lot of people were kind of dogging on this film, saying that there wasn't enough Jackie Chan scenes in this film and is more driven on Pierce Brosnan. I guess it wasn't very well balanced in terms of like story-driven and character development. But you know, I highly enjoyed this film for what it was. Jackie Chan being what he was in this film, I really enjoyed it for what it was. So yeah, The Foreigner. We have Street Fighter 2. This is the collector's edition, the animated movie. I have not seen this film, but it looked pretty sick, and I like the slipcover. We have Akira, classic film. Loved it. One of my favorite animes. My Neighbor Yamada's The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. I still need a slipcover for this one. And The Boy and the Beast. Also, I need a slipcover for that one. Studio Ghibli, Ocean Waves. Cowboy Bebop, the complete series. And this is the cheaper version. And also the Speed Racer, the complete series as well. These were actually very cheap, under 20 bucks. We have The Nightmare Before Christmas. Need a slip for that. I think I got that from DMC. Santa Claus, the first one, the only one that you need to own. The 36th Chamber of Shaolin from Dragon Dynasty. Just a classic martial arts film. Detroit and The Devil's Own with Harrison Ford and Brad Pitt. One of my favorite underrated films. This one I was actually surprised to find in my local used record store. I know these are very hard to find. I think you can get these for probably about 40 bucks or even more on eBay. but it's the limited edition. It includes the bonus special features DVD of Sam Raimi's The Evil Dead. So you can tell it has that green bar on the top. That's when you know it's very limited. So yeah, I was so glad I picked this one up for very cheap. I think it was under $10. Black Hawk Down, the score with Robert De Niro and Edward Norton. One of my favorite Japanese directors currently, Takeshi Kitano. Kitano is Outrage, Way of the Yakuza. I don't know, he did a slew of films. I know he did The Blind Swordsman, Zatoichi, recently, and that one was a very great film as well. Outrage, Awake with Hayden Christensen, Jessica Alba, and Terrence Howard. Moving on, we have Father Figures, Christopher Lee's The City of the Dead, released from MVD Visual. Just a classic film. This is the 6 Degrees collection of Kevin Bacon, which includes The Big Picture, Flatliners, Hollow Man, Trapped, In the Cut, and Where the Truth Lies. I mainly picked up this set because of Trapped. I know it was released in that 2-movie collection back in the day, but those are out of print and going for a ridiculous sum of money. But I'm glad that Mill Creek actually made kind of a small collection video of Kevin Bacon's films, and I can rewatch Trapped with Charlize Theron and Kevin Bacon. Picked up Ponyo, Anger Management, one of my favorite underrated comedies with Adam Sandler and Jack Nicholson. A 90s classic of mine, The Sixth Man with Marlon Wayans and Kadeem Hardison. Stalag and 17 and Dirty Dozen double combo pack. We have The Lady Bird, Sacktown Reppin'. This was filmed by Greta Gerwig, a Sacramento native. I'm a Sacramento native myself. Paddington 2, great film, great family fun film. Twilight People, this one's also released by MVD Visual. Underrated horror film, Session 9. If you haven't seen this film, definitely check this one out. If you're a horror fanatic, I'm sure all horror fanatics have seen that film. Next up, we have Goodbye Christopher Robin. This film actually flew under the radar. I remember there used to be like trailers for this on TV, and then it just kind of just vanished. And the release of this film wasn't very highly touted like any other films that were advertised. So yeah, glad to own this one. Goodbye Christopher Robin. We have Grease. This is the 40th anniversary edition. I heard mixed reviews of the transfer, but overall I think it's more positive than negative. Next up we have Justice League, shout out to WB. Then we have Coco, Disney Pixar. Murder on the Orient Express. One of my favorite films of 2017 is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. We have The Post with Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep and Apollo 13. Blade Runner 2049. What can I say? Visually stunning cinematic experience. Storyline was, it was okay for a sequel of the original film itself, but overall, highly enjoyed this film. Blade Runner 2049. Pitch Perfect 3. And we have Earth, got this one for very cheap, about 12 to 14 bucks. Then we have the Nolan Dark Knight series. We have Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. Liam Neeson in The Commuter, a fun little cheese fest of a film. Neeson always comes out with the thrillers, and they're always highly enjoyable. So if you're a fan of Neeson's films, this won't disappoint you at all. The Commuter. We got all the Transformer films on 4K. I was a part of that Amazon, I think it was like 3 for $50 deal. We picked up Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, the second one, Dark of the Moon, Age of Extinction. This is the Best Buy exclusive steelbook of Transformers The Last Night. Maze Runner, The Death Cure. I highly enjoy this film. If you're a fan of the other 2 films in this trilogy series, I highly recommend it. You won't be disappointed. This is a nice conclusion of the series. So yeah, Maze Runner, The Death Cure. We have the 4K restoration of Lara Croft's Tomb Raider, the Angelina Jolie edition. We have Thor Ragnarok. A lot of hate on this one, but I highly enjoyed it. Even though Jeff Goldblum's character was kind of questionable, I don't know why he was in there. And also a cameo of Matt Damon as Loki was pretty funny. But you can't really pass up on this steelbook though. Love the color of the film, and it's just tremendous. In 4K, visually stunning. We have Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson film. A lot of hate on this film, but I enjoyed it for what it was. The second to last, we have Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle with The Rock. Again, a lot of hate on this film, but I highly enjoyed it for what it was. So last but not least, I want to briefly discuss this film and why I love this film. So Scott Cooper, if you guys aren't aware of Scott Cooper, He directed films such as Out of the Furnace and Crazy Heart. His films are just, in a way, very intriguing, authentic. His storyline, his acting, character development in his films are just always something that he delivers positively and emotionally in all of his films. And you know, after watching reviews and him talking about authenticity, him doing the research, making the film as strong as he could, it really put me in a state of mind of like, oh shit, like this director is real, you know. And I'm not kind of dogging on other directors that are currently out there, but this one just kind of stood out, and I enjoy his films very much. And this one in particular, which stars Christian Bale, who was also a star of Out of the Furnace, is Hostiles. It also stars Rosamund Pike and Wes Studi. But this film was just riveting, emotionally powerful. The storyline was just on point. The acting, the authenticity, the cinematography in this film, which all looked beautiful in 4K. I highly recommend this film. And what makes this film so kind of like diverse and very unique in its sense of modern day westerns set in like 1800s is the fact that it's authentic. Authenticity is something that Scott Cooper praises on, and he does a lot of research about certain things, certain storylines, certain story arcs that kind of parlay into one final conclusion, and what makes this film all around just enjoyable to watch. And just like I said, the authenticity. I remember he was doing research on these two tribes, the Cheyenne and the Comanche. He wanted to make this as real as he could, so he brought in researchers, biographers, like historians. He brought in all these people that were kind of have a background history of these certain Indian tribes, and he wanted to make this as authentic as he possibly could. And he took time into making it the best of his abilities. And it's just, you know, the acting in here, Christian Bale is just a phenomenal actor, and he portrays his characters very well. The character development, the Rosamund Pike, her backstory coming into the story was just awesome, and I couldn't recommend this film enough. And this is probably the top film of 2017 in my opinion. If you haven't checked this one out, definitely check this one out. Hostiles, 4K, Blu-ray, whatever it may be, just put this on your watch list. I want to conclude this video, this update. I'm going to try to do monthly Blu-ray updates more consistently rather than taking like a 6-month to a year hiatus. Hopefully you enjoy this pickup Blu-ray video, 4K video. I know this isn't all of the films that I picked up since I was absent from my last video, but it's the majority of the films that I picked up. And if you aren't following me on Instagram, that's where I post up my Blu-ray updates, my Blu-ray pickups. It's at JRico Films. I'm not very active on my Twitter anymore, just more so on my Instagram, so definitely follow me on there. Be sure to check out my website, jricoreviews.com, for more monthly Blu-ray reviews. I haven't been very active on there as of late, but I'm gonna start picking up on reviews. Also, Letterboxd at JRico Films. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please comment, like, and subscribe. JX Rico signing out.